we'll open up for questions after.
Yeah, well, thank you guys for being here. Had a lot of good experiences in the Bahamas at the tournament, and really proud of the girls for the way that we came down and prepared for two teams that, play really fun styles of basketball to compete against. I thought the preparation was really good. I thought we traveled well, which is what we wanted to do. This was a long trip for us, would be the longest of the year, which is good going into a new conference where we'll travel more. And was pleased with the way that we prepared and excited for what we're going to learn from it in the coming weeks. So I had good practices coming back, and excited for what's ahead.
Hey, did things happen in that first game? You sort of intimated in like your post-game comments that there were some adversities or something that, and for a lot of people, we didn't get a chance to see it, and so was there things that happened during that game? Just what was going on?
Yeah, I think, well, first of all, I think there's things you can control, and I think there's things you can't control in every game. And I think that we as a team, including ourselves, needed to focus on what we could control. There were things outside of our control. There always are. And I believe in that there's a reason, there's overseers for those things. And we were able to reach out and talk with people, and I trust those things they're in their control. I'm not an expert in those things, but I do think there were a lot of things in our control that we needed to be better in. Rebounding, obviously, standing out as the number one most obvious thing, and taking care of the basketball and some decision making throughout the game, us as well. And so, I think really I appreciate you asking that question, because in the moment, in the competitive side of you, your mind will drift to something that you can't control sometimes, and it's our job to refocus to what we can.
And then just the sort of the general softball question, just what did you learn about your team from like both of those games? Obviously, that game against South Carolina there, for people who didn't see it and you see that box score, man, it's close, it's right there. Do you believe in moral victories, or was there something to be gained from that?
Yeah, good question. I hope that we are growth mindset in wins and losses, that we look at the games the same way. And there should be things we celebrate growth-wise in every game. There was some really great growth in that game and the way we prepared, understand personnel, understand the schemes that we were going to try to play. Just tremendous growth in that. So you had to celebrate that. Again, like I said, the things that we could control from a rebounding standpoint, and in those physical moments, you've got to take that moment. We've got some growth in still to go, and there was still good moments though. I think the thing that in the first game that we saw was that for 40 minutes, despite circumstances, whatever it was, we were about the next play, which was tremendous growth for us. You've seen us this year, and sometimes a moment can take us a second to recover from, and so our next play speed was much better. And then again in the second game, we were forced with another situation similar to the first game where we built a good lead. They made a run. I thought we handled that run better in the second game.
And then, just the idea of treating every game the same. You have a game coming up that, at least on paper, doesn't look like it's the same. It's, and for the outside in, it's not the same at all. And so, but for you, is your philosophy that these big games they're just another game, or do you embrace the idea of it's a big game? We got number one coming in. Number one hasn't been here in 20 some odd years. Yeah, right? Connecticut, right? And so do you embrace that, or do you think it's just another game?
I thought, again, a great question. I think the way we see it is like when we evaluate opponents and prepare from a scouting standpoint is there's teams that are really, really good at certain things, and sometimes they're really, really good at a lot of things. And so it's not the same in that aspect. From a scouting standpoint, there's a lot of things that UCLA does really well. Depth, the way they shoot the ball, the physicality, inside-out play is all incredibly strong. It's a great roster. It's an incredibly well-coached team. And so that's just the normal preparation for a game, is evaluate your opponent. This opponent is very talented, very good, very disciplined, tough, know how to play the game at a high level. And so I think that's where we become different is in preparation is there's not that weakness that you can pick on with UCLA that you could in another game some. And so your ability to be solid in what you do, understanding their strengths, and trying not to put them in their strengths all the time is really, our hope as we prepare.
Coach, you talked about a growth mindset, the preparation for your group throughout the course of the season. How big is it just to have this stretch of days, I imagine practice and scout, to prepare for a game like that where you've got, as you mentioned, really top talented team? How valuable is this stretch where you want to apply that growth mindset and that preparation throughout the week?
I think two things were really important about this week. One was this was, again, kind of the schedule is set up, so what does it feel like to travel, to change time zones, to stay in that time zone for a long time? And when we came back, there was a moment, like we came back pretty late, there's a minute to recover, body, mind, get back in a routine, get back in your time zone. We did need to change time zones because of the early games. So we did go on their time zone. So those kind of fun things that we'll be experiencing in Big Ten play. And so this week has been, a great example of that. And I like how we've learned from it, from a body-mind standpoint. Secondly, yeah, it was very fortunate that we had, multiple days coming from that tournament, as well as, preparing for our first Big Ten game, which is earlier, than we are used to. And but something that is exciting to have. We have multiple teams in a row that are very, very, very good basketball programs, and I think that's going to be a lot of fun as we continue to learn a lot about ourselves and prepare for the Big Ten.
I know you highlighted in the LSU game the rebounding could have been better, but you've largely rebounded pretty solidly as a group this year. I'm just wondering what you've seen from your group attacking the boards, because I know one of the last times we were here, Elle had a double-digit rebounds. She had some good rebound numbers, I think, in the tournament as well. What have you seen from your group rebounding? Because again, largely you guys have been out rebounding your opponents.
Yeah, I think that our emphasis on rebounding is strong. I think we talk about it a lot. It's something that we, try to implement and work on in practice. I think from a technique standpoint, we have some growth to do there. And I think when I watch UCLA, it's something that they do technique-wise very well. And so I think it's just an area of growth still for us.
And then I know you were asked about what you might have learned about your group over the 2 games of that tournament, but I think we're 9 games in here to this season. What have you seen from your group? I know we've heard about how hard they work in the gym, and that you, as you mentioned again, that growth mindset. Is there anything that stood out to you about this group through these 9 games?
Yeah, I just loved how we went down, and again, we didn't have an excuse for anything. I think that was we went down, we traveled, we understood how we were going to handle the trip, when we would actually be in the Bahamas, because we weren't officially in the Bahamas until the games were over. Kind of some fun things like that, the mindset that it took to prepare. I think the teamwork that was seen on the floor. We're still learning each other and sharing the basketball and trying to move as a system defensively well. So I like those growth. I think we're an unselfish group. I think we really enjoy learning, and so I think that's always so much fun. I'm so grateful for them and the way they come in every day.
Coach, at this point, 7-2 coming into first game of the Big Ten, are you where you thought you'd be at this point? When you kind of mapped it out, where you thought this team would be at this point in the season, are you where you are, where you thought you'd be? Are you behind? Are you ahead? What do you say? What do you think?
Honest answer is I don't think I've ever thought about it as a record as much as I've thought about it as where are we with rebounding, where are we shot selection, where are we with defensive efficiency, offensive efficiency, that kind of thing. And I don't know that anyone is how many coaches are going to sit down like where we need to be right now at this point. But I like that that when we put our attention on something, we usually see growth in that area. Sometimes we'll put attention on something and then we'll take it off, and then that'll slip a little bit. And that's where we want to be a little more solid. I think it builds a better team for the season. And so, we were sharing the basketball and shooting the basketball at a high rate. To begin the season, it's something that as you play more physical, more talented teams along the way, they're going to take things away, and you need to make the next right decision. So, long-winded answer to that is I think that that we've seen improvement in areas that I would think we would be where we are in some areas. In some areas, we need to get better fast.
And I know every year is different. Teams are different that you're even facing. Every team is different every year. But this is the best from a scoring defense standpoint that you guys have been in your non-conference opponents, just a little over 57 a game that you guys are allowing. What is it that you guys are doing that has been able to allow you to hold teams to less than you had in your previous 2 or 3 years here?
I think a lot of things go into that. I think we did start the season this year with more depth. I think that allows you to stay fresher and to be able to play harder and more physical and things like that. And I think when we've been able to do that, that's helped us a lot. I think that we have a little bit more, experience seasoned in our program that understands the defensive philosophy, which is also related to the offensive shot selection. And so I thought we saw, that was still very strong when we went down to the Bahamas. So I think there's a lot of things that goes into that, experience, depth. We got a little bit more size. So those things are all helpful.
Any particular thing about this UCLA team that's going to keep you up over these next few days, whether it's Lauren
Just
or
one thing.
just
No.
but yeah, obviously the first thing that I think of is maybe Lauren,
Yes.
and then there's sort of Kiki, and then they added somebody too, who's also playing well. Just what do they do that's
Yeah.
that's well.
I mean, they've got an incredibly talented roster. I think you're probably talking about Alina. Yeah, it's freshman guard playing really well. Yeah, I mean, you could go down I can just keep going. It's a roster, and it's a great roster. A lot of talent on the team. You could try, to do a lot of things with Lauren Betts, which are going to open up a lot of perimeter opportunity for them. And I think you've seen that throughout the games they've played. Whatever style you choose, they have the players that can adjust to that style. And so I think we've got to be very solid in who we are. And, I think that to answer your question and not get off post play is obviously concerning. I think Lauren's playing an incredible high level. She was already talented, already had great touch, but now she's physically dominating. And I think that's really impressive, the way she's playing. In the low post, she's extended her range. She's playing really well. They rebound at such a high rate. I mean, again, just looking down the roster. So you got a lot of great shooters. They've got a lot of people that, understand the game and know how to take advantage of what you do. And so, yeah.
Just in like the 50 years of this program, 0-5 against number one ranked teams. Are you just excited for that opportunity to maybe be the first team to take down like number one ranked team?
I'm excited to play our first Big Ten game. I mean, genuinely, I've known Corey for many years. I think she's an incredible human and coach. Her staff's great friends. I mean, there's a great program, and so it's fun to play against people that you have a lot of respect for and that have done it the right way. And so I'm excited to do that. I'm excited for our group to watch them go down into the Bahamas and not look at a name on a chest and just know that there is a scout ahead of you. That you're going to have to do some things really well, and you're going to have to take some things away, and this is what we're going to need to do to be in the game, compete to win the game. And so I'm excited that that's our group's mentality. I know that's who they've been this week. It's already been a fun week, the way they've come in each day, preparation-wise. So I'm excited to go to the next practice. This is what you love as a coach. It's like the preparation is maybe the most fun part of it all. So excited to continue to prepare.
So then, are you thinking that you guys really don't have to play like out of your mind or do anything sort of different? I mean, just sort of play your game, and then I guess to like piggyback off of that, is there anything like do you highlight when you beat number 2 Stanford and like how big of a win that was and kind of what that did for that program at that time?
Yeah, I mean, I think we look back at that after it happened, probably more than ahead when it happened. I think we joked a little bit that I don't remember if this is accurate. But I think we talked a little bit about I don't even think we realized we were going to win at the end till the very end, and that was just because we were so focused on do the next right thing the whole game, and it helps you stay in the moment, not make the moment bigger than it should be. And so I hope that's the mindset that we all have going into this game, because it's just the moment requires what the moment requires, and that's from the way we warm up and the way we practice and those kind of things. I think we'll be in the right state of mind for the game if we just do what the moment requires.
And then just any like overall thoughts on the Big Ten, sort of as you get into like conference play, have you peeked around the Big Ten and kind of where you guys are with other teams? 9 teams are ranked, and that's not even including Penn State and Minnesota. I believe they're both like 9-0. Just kind of like we thought the Pac-12 was really tough. It looks like the Big Ten could send like 10, maybe even 11 teams to the NCAA tournament.
That's right. Yeah. No, really proud of the Big Ten. I mean, every now and then you get to check the scores. I can't say I've seen a lot of games unless it's time to prepare for them. But you look at the scores and you see how well people are doing. and just really excited for the league and how everyone's competing at such a high level. So it was one of the things I loved about the Pac-12 is that when we knew when we came to Washington that we would be in a league that every night would be a fight, and those are the fun things about the game of basketball. Competing is why we all do it, and so to go into the Big Ten and it does, I agree with you, feel like it's even higher now, even harder now. It's fun.
Coach, to continue on the Big Ten some sort of a broader question, if I may. I believe every fall program for UW has reached the postseason in some sort of capacity. Obviously, you can only speak for your program and yourself, but from what you've seen with this university, how have you seen Washington sort of acclimate to the Big Ten? Because obviously there's a lot of talk about it. It's a big deal. You're focusing on your own season, but to see that sort of success across the board, the soccer programs, volleyball, it's nice to see that just university-wide.
Yeah, Nicole and Tui, absolutely. Tui obviously just was selected in the tournament, and watching these coaches work and prepare is special. I remember the first head coaches meeting I went to at Washington, and I remember thinking, you might not ever speak in one of these meetings because it's such an honor for the coaches that are here. They've done it at a high level for a long time. So much goes into winning in each sport, and not just the conference change, but the roster changes now and the things that are happening across the sports. But to what I see maintained at Washington is culture. I see each program has an identity of its own. There's a culture for this athletic department, and I think that people are just trying to hold tight and true to that culture. It's been really, really inspirational, I think, is probably the word I would say as I watch each program compete. Yeah.
Any last questions for Coach? Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate y'all.